What's up, guys? Welcome back to another Tweener tennis video today here on the channel. And if you are new to the channel, hey, how's it going? My name's Phil, and this is where we get to talk about tennis in a more casual way for you guys to understand what's going on and off the court. And we have a very special interview for you guys today. We have top 150 player in the world, Marc-Andrea Huesler, who's already played Davis Cup, who has already represented his country. He's just 24 years old, and he's beaten the likes of Fabio, Fognini, and Feliciano Lopez. And we talk about all of that in today's video and interview, and I really appreciated him coming on today to talk about his experience, what life is like in quarantine, his decisions about becoming a pro because he was balancing school and tennis up until the age 18, 19 years old. So it was a lot of fun talking to him, and I hope you guys do enjoy this video. I'll leave links to all of his social medias down in the description below. So I hope you guys do enjoy this video. Make sure to leave a big like, as well as making sure you subscribe to the channel right here. I hope you guys enjoy this video. Thanks, guys.
I think for you, you just came off a doubles run with Jamie Saratini recently. Congratulations.
Thanks.
How's it feel to be back in a winning way, not just singles, but doubles as well, like during this pandemic? How does it feel?
Yeah, I mean, actually it feels really good. I mean, I enjoy playing doubles a lot, and it's not always easy to play singles and doubles both at the same time, and give 100% for them both. And it's not been easy because in the past my doubles ranking was better than my singles ranking, and now in the last few months I actually played so much better in singles. Also after injury I lost points in doubles. My singles ranking has actually overtaken my doubles ranking, but I'm still trying to just be able to play tournaments where I can, especially if they're like two in a row.
Of course.
Because I think it's good as a practice as well. I mean, for sure. I mean, serve returns, match situations is really something that's very important also for singles. And I want to somehow like keep the option open so I can always still play doubles. And yeah, it was really great week. I mean, I feel like we would also have deserved to win the title. It was at the end. I mean, sometimes in doubles it's even closer than singles. Like even you win 7 points more, you can end up losing. But I mean, I think we were very happy with the way we played our matches, at least.
I mean, you can't be upset for making the finals, especially during this time, and everyone's struggling to even go to tournaments at this point. I mean, you have to make sure that you're just healthy enough. And we said this before we started the interview, is you've traveled so much already this year and later last year. How's it been traveling and coping with the new rules or the new regulations that you have to do to fortunately play these tournaments?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not easy. I mean, sometimes it's basically every country is different, and you realize that, and things always change. So it's very hard to plan ahead. I mean, I started off the season knowing that I was going to be playing qualies of Australia. I didn't know where they were going to be. I hoped they were going to take place. And then at one point, like only maybe like 3 weeks in advance, it was actually final that it was in Doha.
Okay.
It wasn't exactly sure when you can be there. And then I just started thinking, I just started trying to plan day by day, because the move that made the most sense was clearly to try and practice outdoors. Because in Switzerland, it's just not the same thing if you practice indoors at minus temperatures. And then I just heard from other players as well that they're in Dubai, and I thought Dubai, Doha, that's actually pretty close, so maybe why not go to Dubai for a week? So I had to see what the requirements are to get into Dubai. And then turned out that they were fine, like you only needed a negative test, no quarantine as Swiss citizens. So that ended up working out. But I mean, it's always been like a week by week, because you never know when things change, I mean, you just tried really basically to find a way to travel. So far, I mean, most of the countries, they're cooperating with each other, also with ATP. And when you get an invitation letter and stuff like that, that helps you out. I don't think there's now been a player yet who was now not able to play the tournament because he was not allowed in the country.
Okay.
But then again, I mean, once you're positive, then you're positive. And then then it becomes tough, because then it depends also where you are and which country you are then, because some of the countries, they cannot allow you to leave, so you have to stay in the hotel room there. Other countries, they allow you to drive home, if of course you can drive home, if it's not too far or you have a car.
True.
And I mean, it's always a risk on the one hand, but on the other hand, I mean, I think all of the players are really happy that we are able to compete again. I mean, I think ATP is doing a really good job there. giving opportunities for us to play, because I mean it's really not easy. Also, I mean, all the procedures that we have to do, and tournaments, and especially challengers who just financially also are struggling a lot. I mean,
of course.
During the first lockdown, I was injured, so I didn't really even like miss that much on the tournaments, like the first couple months. But then once I was actually felt fit and there was still nothing on, it was really kind of a wait, you know. I mean, it's a good time, like still different time, like with family and other stuff to do. But yeah, I just imagining that I would now not be able to play any tournaments, just sticking at home and basically not knowing like how it's going to go on. Of course, it would be much worse.
It seems like there's so much more stress now, especially if you're doing all the planning, the figuring out flights, everything like that, because Challenger Tour versus ATP Tour, I've felt like it's a very different world. So when you are dealt certain information, you yourself have to figure it out rather than anyone else doing it for you. It just seems like a lot more stress on top of the pandemic just to do your job. Am I correct?
I mean, I honestly don't always exactly know how it is on ATP events because I haven't played that many. But no, I mean, it's for sure. I think that, I mean, sometimes just yesterday I get an email that I'm trying to make my schedule, and then I get an email saying that I have to apply for a visa for Singapore by tomorrow 10 a.m. And I'm like, well, I'm not sure if I want to go to Singapore. I'm not sure if I get into Singapore. But then again, I'm planning like, where am I the week before? South Africa. Like, okay, can I actually get from South Africa to Singapore? Not sure, you know. And then it's always a communication. That's basically something that, I mean, players have to deal with and have to figure out by themselves. But I mean, we're always allowed to ask questions in that way. But sometimes information, I feel like we get a bit too late, because I know why the reason is, because it's just they don't know themselves, you know. And as soon as something changes, the government again, we get an email and it's like, okay, then I guess that's falling away, you know. But then again, I signed up for the tournaments 3 weeks ago already, so I cannot really ignore that anymore.
Exactly.
You know? And then, I mean, what I've really liked to see in the last few weeks is just that it's really hard to plan ahead. Like, I just try to take it basically day by day, test by test, you know, and then try and make a schedule for the coming weeks. Like, what happens if, obviously, I stay negative? That'll be my schedule. But if that gets cancelled, then the plans get changed all around the way. And so it's really just, trying to basically focus on the tennis more. You know, where can I practice well? Where can I play matches? And where is it still safe? You know.
Yeah, of course. That's actually interesting, because has all of this changed your routine of how you prepare, or has it changed anything in your routines for warming up before a match or practicing? Has it changed anything like that?
Actually, I wouldn't say so. No, I mean, the only thing that's really like drastically changed is the way we can eat. Basically, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Just it's different. Like, I mean, most tournaments we have to eat in the hotel room, which is fine, but just it's a bit of a change. Not used to that. Or restaurants just closed. You always have to order room service, and it's more of a side room grind.
Okay.
Like, either you're on the side and you're wearing your mask and you can practice and you can play your match. But there have also been tournaments in the past where you cannot even shower on site, so it's really just you play your match and then you go.
Oh wow!
Go back to your room, and that's where you can hang out. And it depends how good the room is, because if the room's not too good, the Wi-Fi is not too good, then it also could be a struggle. But I mean, there's usually always, I mean, a gym and stuff like that. I mean, the players feel like most of the players, somehow we've gotten used to not being too close to each other. I mean, sometimes it's unavoidable, like in shuttles. You feel like it's actually kind of weird to have like 8 players in one minibus, all side by side, because the next shuttle leaves in an hour. I mean, there are things like that which are not ideal, which could be organized better, which I don't think would happen at ATP events. But that's basically, what we have to deal with.
So how have you been spending the time from site to hotel room? How do you pass the time? Because I feel like at this point we've seen how crazy people have gone in their hotel rooms at the Australian Open during that quarantine. How have you been passing the time, essentially? Have you flipped your mattress and tried to hit a ball against it?
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like quarantining and getting out, being able to practice, I mean, that's completely different things, because if you're really stuck in your room for 2 weeks, I mean, yeah, that's different, because somehow, like, I know I still have a structure. Like, I know I have my practices on my days off. I have a match, you know, and it just, even one match just takes up at least 8 hours of before, of like warming up, preparation, food wise, and then waiting around, then you're playing a match, cool down, stuff like that, physio.
Yeah.
And then at the end, you realize, like, you don't need much as a player, actually. Like, you're happy if you have your room, you know, if you can talk to your coaches, if you can talk to your family, to have contact with the players that you want. It's not like some tournaments for sure have other activities that are not taking place now, but there are tournaments who don't. So it's a bit of the only thing that was like really a change now is that you just, food wise, you cannot go out to a restaurant, which is something like almost lots of players have rituals there, go to the same restaurant throughout the week if they like the food there. But then again, I mean, eating in your room is also completely fine. It's, after a while, I feel like it's kind of depressing, just because you also have like leftover foods in your room, you know, and so it's not like, just, I mean, I can imagine after a couple of days, if you have to quarantine full time, then it's, it can be really tough, because I mean, I've done it once for, I think, 1 day, 24 hours. That was, I just had to wait for my result. And then it was actually almost interesting to see, like, I was anxious to see how I would cope with them with that 1 day. And then it's 1 day. So you feel like, well, actually 1 day is not too bad. Like,
no, 1 day compared to the 14 that people are doing in Australia doesn't seem like that much.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I should probably talk to Henry to see how he's doing.
I can't imagine what it's like there.
No, I mean, I honestly, I mean, I had a bit of contact with other players as well. And I mean, it's just, it was tough for those players who really were not allowed out
at all.
There's not much basically that you really can do. They just have to. Then again, at least nowadays you can chat.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big plus. If you can't do that, then I mean, I don't know. Then really it's tough to grind out the day. I mean,
you'd be going insane. That's the problem.
Really, I mean, it's just somehow, you know, open the window. Like, you try to stay fit, but you know, no matter how much you do, you're still not going to be able to do enough to. So it's actually, I mean, it's actually, maybe it's even a real good mental test to see like how
100%
how stable am I. Like, maybe it's life less, you know, like something that I know that's maybe, I don't know.
No, it's true.
I have to do it.
It's true. And I kind of want to move away from the quarantining and the COVID, because I feel like that's just such a big topic, and going towards you and your game and what you do off the court. One thing that I've noticed is that you're very active on social media. You do a very good job of keeping your page very aesthetically pleasing. You're very organized. You have very interesting Instagram stories. Is that like a passion of yours to do digital video and things like that?
Well, I mean, I figured out that at the end of last year, after that, I basically made a bit of a breakthrough on the tour. I just got lots of people who were texting me, media sometimes, and just other things. I just felt like it would be the right moment to like organize the team around me also a bit better, just so that I know, like, in case I would continue on this path, that I would already have like a decent structure that can hold it all together. That I'm not like overloaded with things. And then I basically just I thought, I mean, I asked a friend of mine who I know basically knows his way around social media a lot, to help me out there, and he's also basically now a kind of manager of mine.
Oh, very nice.
So I can always like, I mean, it's like basically like more like on a trial basis to see how it goes, because obviously he also has other plans of his life.
Of course.
But then we said, I mean, obviously, I just thought it was important to have someone by my side there, besides my family, who knows their way around, and like someone I can trust, not just someone like who I don't know yet. And I mean, he's basically taking care of that, I'd say. Like, I'm trying to gather as much material as possible, because I feel like it's important to show like the people who are interested to see what it's like. Like, I mean, it's easy to see like what the matches are, like really the work behind it, and just like the everyday struggles of a tennis player, just to see like where they are, how often they travel, what problems they can encounter. And basically the ups and downs, you know, because I think that's what makes a difference at the end, because every player has good matches and bad matches. but then being able to celebrate the victories with people who are real fans is, I think that's the most biggest pleasure that you can have.
Of course. It seems like you already have a basis to start your own YouTube channel at this point with that vision of yours.
No, I mean, I just feel like, I mean, then again, it's important. I feel like every player also is like the head of his own like firm, basically. Like I have people who work for me, like I appoint coaches who I pay, who want to basically get me better.
Yeah.
You know, it's like my own personal brand. And because it's also for post-career things. I mean, I don't know what I'm going to do after my tennis career, but I feel like if you have lots of people basically who know you, like in Switzerland or even worldwide, then you just have so many more options against for the future. Like, you never know what might come up. And obviously, on my point also, sponsors are still very important, because I'm trying to like give myself the best possible opportunity to play well. You know, like so like it should not be that I don't have enough money to I don't know, to travel to this destination, because I feel like I could play well there. Because I'm really trying to plan for the next couple of years, because at the end I don't want to stop where I am now. Obviously, I want to break through, become a better tennis player, get up the rankings, and then hopefully long term, then that will come back.
You've thought very far ahead. You've thought very much past when you stopped tennis.
Well, I mean, on the one hand, yes. On the one hand, no, because I mean, I finished. I still have no idea what I'm going to do. I mean, so basically, no. I mean, for me, it was just very important to know that. I mean, I finished my my school in Zurich, in Switzerland. Like that's the
very nice
high school degree, basically, so I can start studying at any time I want. That was just basically also from my parents' side. Like at 14, I didn't really know what I wanted anyway, so it was kind of, then I just followed what they advised me to do. And my sister had also done it, so it was kind of clear that I also had to go in that direction. Then no, but looking back, I feel like that was a really good choice, because it just, in tennis you have enough pressure the way it is, and just if you know that you have like at least another option, you can always start studying. Then it's like you maybe feel a bit less pressure on tour. I mean, it's I still have pressure every match, I know, because it's my job, you know, and obviously if I don't play well, then I'm basically not earning, I'm not going up the rankings, you know, and every player has those thoughts, but at least I know, like, okay, if I get injured or something like that, I actually can do something that makes sense. And but then again, I also don't know how much longer I want to well, you never know how much longer you can play tennis. That's the thing. Like, if it can change so abruptly, I mean, last year with an injury, it could already be over. And you just never know that. And that's why I tried to make a plan with my parents for about like 3 years after I finished my my school, to see how far I get in 3 years if I invest completely, because I really only started practicing professionally when I was like 18, 19, which is I mean, that's still something I have to work up in comparison to other players, just the hours of practice I actually have had. And I mean, looking back, it's been going really great, because every year I've actually made progress in the rankings. Sometimes it took a bit longer, sometimes bigger jumps, but on the whole, at the end of every year, I have gotten a bit higher up,
of course,
and I was feeling a bit better. So if it goes on like this, then it's actually looking pretty good, but it's not going to get easier.
Of course, that's the whole thing. I think if you were to say until what age you're going to play until, what would be your goal? How long would you want to play? Like Roger Federer level of like, I'm going to be immortal and play tennis, or Karlovic 41 or 42 level? What would be your ultimate goal?
That's actually it's hard to say, because on the one hand, I feel like I would want to play tennis as long as I can, like just physically. And on the other hand, I feel like the tennis tour is also not like ideal for if you have other plans in life. Like, it depends also how much money you make, but I'm now expecting that after my tennis career, I'll still have to be working. So I mean, I think good case scenario, if you're 35 and you're still able to perform on tour, then you've at least physically done a lot of things right. And I think the most important thing is that you're still eager to compete. I mean, I see players on tour who are over 30 and they're just as fresh as they were when they're 20. And that's I think if they enjoy competing and the tour life, then I don't see there's a reason to stop earlier unless you really have a big reason, money wise or family wise, or basically if you just feel like, look, I'm not having fun anymore, it's not enough, I want to change. Because I mean, if you've been on tour, I mean, I've not been on tour for so long. I've been on tour for now about, I mean, I feel like the first 2 years don't even really count because I was just playing futures and had to learn what being a pro actually means. Like, I thought I was actually being a pro in those times, but then again, once I played my first challenge, I realized, well, okay, that's how things actually work. Like, this guy actually goes to practice after his match again if he loses. Just like observations which help on becoming and developing players. So I feel like I've really now been on a real tennis tour for maybe about 3-4 years. So I mean, it's something.
Yeah.
I mean, I just feel like, I mean, I had people who obviously advised me, and I tried to make a schedule, but then I feel like at the beginning you just have to like also just jump in and just try out, make your experiences. Like, you'll lose matches with match points, you'll win matches. See how you cope. Like being 3 weeks alone on a future, like see if that's something you even enjoy. Like, it's hard to really like be prepared for that. Like, you don't know how you will feel in a bad hotel after playing a bad match, having to practice next day. I mean, I think this is
it becomes more of an experience rather than a job when you first start out, because you're still trying to figure out how your job works when you go through it.
Exactly. I mean, also just as a player, like, you don't know what your game looks like yet, because usually the players who start off like around that age, 18, the good players, they have a level of maybe like 300 already, like the best ones. But then, I mean, the first year is going to be tough for them because they're going to be playing futures qualies. They're going to see that actually the level is high. At least that's what I saw. Like, I was at the top of Switzerland already at my age, and I thought like, well, okay, let's go abroad. And I just realized, well, I mean, I'm playing against this Russian guy who I do not know, never heard of before. This guy is playing better than 99% of the players in Switzerland. And just like that realization that abroad, there's just so many more players who play at a good level. And but I mean, that was basically a work. Like, I had to get my first point at one point, and then I played my first quarters, and then suddenly my first finals, and then maybe a year later got my first title, and then basically just really learning how it works.
Well, you said that you started not really taking the professional level. Well, I wouldn't say that, but you started training harder at 18, 19 years old, when today's society, where kids that are 15, 16 years old are already playing tour level events. We saw Carlos Alcaraz, we saw Felix Auger-Aliassime, who was already making finals in top 100 by the time they were 18. So did you feel like you had a disadvantage when you started training later, or was it more, I'm going to see how far I can take this?
I mean, I think it's like, if the goal had been from the moment I started playing tennis at like 5 years old, to become a tennis pro, then obviously I feel like the more balls you play as a junior, the better you'll get. Like, the faster you come up the ladder. But then again, I feel like if you're already as a junior, you're one of the best, and you already are almost living the tour life as a junior. After maybe 2 years of being on tour, you might also already be a bit worn out. Like, it's hard to say exactly how it would be, but I just feel like from my experience that, I mean, looking back, I feel like I made the right decision. During this time I had in school until I was 19, it was not like I was not practicing. It was just more like I only had time to practice once a day, maybe like for 3 hours, 2 to 3 hours. So, and then also having the school stress, like the exams and stuff like that, which wasn't easy. But then again, there were tournaments to play in Switzerland, and I played them. And then I also managed to put in a couple of futures here and there. I got my first points when I was like 17, 18. I think there are different like ways that can actually lead to the same goal. I mean, I feel like in this, the positive thing that I have is I also had basically a normal life of a teenager. Basically, I went to school. I had my friends in Zurich, grew up there, and then afterwards I was practicing. But then afterwards, really, first 2 years, I just had to work really hard physically just to get my body up to a level where I can actually start now competing as well as other players, because I figured it out pretty soon.
Yeah.
That the average player's fitness level was way higher than mine. And I mean, that's still the case, that I still have lots of potential there. And that's actually very motivating for me, because I feel like I've now already gotten this far, and there's really no reason not to improve on the other things that are improvable.
Of course.
Just imagine how it would be if I actually had maxed out my opportunities already.
Well, that's interesting you say that, because I feel when you said a normal life, that's kind of what some kids in the United States struggle with, because one, they could either go the college route and sacrifice their academics to pursue a scholarship, which can hinder their ability for their education. And for you, was playing in university ever a question that you considered, or was it always, I'm going to go play pro later in high school?
I mean, it was definitely an option. I mean, I remember I had gotten a couple of people have asked me. I got messages on Facebook and stuff like that. And I was really thinking about it as well, because I mean, I've heard lots of players also from Switzerland who have done it, and they basically really say it was a great time. And I mean, I'm sure that lots. I mean, obviously, there are enough examples to prove that when you go to college, that you can afterwards also succeed as a tennis pro. I just felt like for me, it would have been the wrong step to take, because I just hadn't practiced enough. Basically, I haven't given my tennis even the chance yet to really evolve. On the one hand, I never know. Like, maybe it would have been great. Maybe I would have made so much progress there that after 2 years, I'd say, look, I'd stop, or I'd finish my degree and then go pro. It's tough to say, but I actually had those thoughts also, like after 4 years. And I was looking back, and then I realized, had I gone to college, I wouldn't have been in the Davis Cup team. I wouldn't have made those experiences. I wouldn't have been able to play Basel and Stade. I wouldn't have been able to win my first challenger. And I feel like those are all also experiences that count. So looking back, I'm actually happy that I didn't go. Like, I don't know how it would have been. I'm pretty sure lots of players enjoy it a lot. And I've basically only heard positive things. Just that I feel like at that moment it was not the right move to improve tennis-wise. Like, for a scholarship, to get a good degree, for sure. But I really wanted to focus a bit more on my tennis then.
Well, at 24 years old, would you say that you have, it feels like when you play tennis, you always start at a young age and you feel like you've been doing it forever at this point. Did you feel like you have any regrets when it came to making your decision to go pro, or playing, or any decisions that you may have looked back and say, maybe this was the wrong idea, or maybe this was the right idea and I just didn't know it?
Yeah, I mean, looking back, there were, of course, decisions that I made that in hindsight I would now do differently. But those are more also like regarding tournaments that I played. But I think those are like experiences that you have to make, like mistakes that you have to make to learn from them. But then again, I feel like on the whole, the structure, I feel like has been pretty good. Like, there haven't been many big wrong decisions that I feel have really impacted my career in a bad way. But then again, you also never know what would have been if you had done this. Basically the same in a tennis match. Like, if you make that break point, would you have ended up winning the set? Like, maybe, but you don't know. So you have to like just kind of deal with it the way it is, and work what you got at the moment. And I just try and figure out, like, there. I mean, one big part was just like figuring out my own game. Like, how do I play? How do I see myself winning my matches against good players? Because it's not enough just to win matches against mediocre players. But then how do you get, once you're faced with a guy who's top 100, how do you want to win this match? And then
it becomes very different.
it becomes very different, because then suddenly you realize the things that you did before maybe worked out and now they don't work out anymore. That's basically just the development that every player somehow has to go through. And I mean, I feel like the way my game has now developed in the last couple months and years has actually been really in the right direction. Like I'm really trying to focus on, I'd say, like a different player than other players, because I'm trying to really not give my opponent any kind of a rhythm. Like he should feel bad when he plays against me, like be very unpleasant to play against me, because he doesn't know what's coming. Like, because I somehow like different aspects in my game, especially with the serve, just keeping that weapon very big, doing serve volley, being aggressive, but then at one point also just keeping a bowling game. And that's, I feel like, something that's really now helped me the last couple months to figure that out. At least it's like a puzzle. It's not quite complete yet, but it's getting there. Like I feel like I can suddenly see like what I think I can make out, like what it was supposed to be at the end, but not quite sure, like details, not sure if it's about yet or whatever.
Well, it seems like the puzzle that you've basically completed for a guy that's already in the top 200, the guy that's been complimented by Roger Federer himself, and who's been on the Davis Cup team, who's already won challenger titles. It seems like you're there. It just seems. What would you say would be the next step for you to get to the top 100? What would you, if you were to give yourself one piece of advice right now, what would it be to get to that, into those double digits?
I mean, on the one hand, it could be done in like 2 weeks if you just win 2 challenger events, or 3, probably point wise. On the other hand, I mean, you also got to defend those points that you make. And I mean, I just seen it like the last couple of weeks. I mean, I would now consider that my start to the year was okay. Like it could have been better, but it also could have been worse.
True.
I found now a couple wins. I think I won 4 matches this year against all top 200 players. So like last year, I would have said that's a great start to the season. Now I've also just seen like it's point wise doesn't really help me get anywhere. To be honest, I think my best advice would probably just to be patient at the same time. Like just keep have faith in what I'm doing is actually the right things that I'm working on, and that in the long run, when you keep working on these things, then they're going to get better, and then results will follow.
Yeah.
And that's basically, it's not easy, because there have been months in the last years where I felt like, I'm at a standstill, like my ranking's standing still, and maybe for 6, 7, 8 weeks I didn't make any points, and then suddenly, bam, won a future. And then, bam, qualified the next week, qualified for challenger, played semis, and then next week, bam, wild card 250, win a round, and I suddenly had 100 points more than I had before. And it's hard to say, why exactly in those weeks it works out and before it didn't work out. Like there's so many aspects that come into game there.
Yeah, because last year you won a challenger in Germany and you beat Dustin Brown, Braden Schnurr, Sebastian Korda, who's on fire right now, Antoine Hong, then Zandschlup. Like you can't. It just takes one thing for you to make that breakout, and playing and beating players like that really builds that confidence that people need in their career, right?
I mean, for sure. What really helped me was obviously Kate Spiel, like beating 5 top 100 players in 1 week, to show me that there's actually no reason why I should not be really aiming high at every challenger that I play.
Yeah.
And but then again, I mean, I saw it just like, as you said, first round against Dustin was 7-6 in the third on carpet. I mean, there's a couple of points that decide that match. And that's the way tennis is. I mean, also I think Sebastian this last week in Queen Pair, he won now the challenger. I think in the first round he also had to save match points.
Yeah.
So it's like it could have been finished there, but he ended up winning that match and then winning the next matches as well. So it's like the first round could be a final.
Yeah.
Like the level that the two players bring onto the court, it could be a final. So basically, just like 5 times you have to prove that you're better than your opponent on those consecutive days. And that's for sure something that, I mean, I think also I had to learn, because you always feel like, the semis is harder to win than the first round.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. I mean, it also depends who you play, but
exactly.
I mean, I play against Bolmsey last week here. I lose 7-6 in the third.
Yeah.
Ended up playing semis. I mean, that was basically, would it have been me if I'd won the match? Maybe, maybe not.
Exactly.
We don't know.
No one really knows until the next round, because
exactly. That's why you have to like give yourself a couple chances to play. That's why I'm also playing this week again here, because I just want to give myself another chance as long as I can.
Yeah, exactly. We're also speaking to a guy that beat Fognini and Lopez in the same tournament, and you beat Fognini 6-1, 6-2. Like how? Like what was going through your mind when you beat a guy that's top 15 in the world like that?
I mean, I was really feeling very good about my tennis at that point.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just being qualified, beating VCore, and then being in the second round, I obviously had nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Like really nothing to lose. Like if I lose the match, then I mean, great, I lost to Fognini, so it's a good experience anyway, no matter.
Exactly.
And then, I mean, what was also on my mind is I knew how hard it was to play your first match after having an operation, because I had just done that basically a couple months ago.
Yeah.
And that was his first match after his operation that he had made. So I also knew, well, he's not going to be feeling too confident at the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
So I really just tried to say, look, especially beginning of the match, hold my serve and see what's possible. And then basically, I think like I also have a game that actually can hurt his game a lot. Mm-hmm. Because, I mean, it's also not easy for him. Like he's playing against a guy he doesn't know. Probably he was thinking, okay, I'll just let him play, like see what he does. Mm-hmm. And then I ended up starting really well. I served really well, broke him, I think, in the first chance I got, attacking his second serves, playing very aggressively, basically, like just not even giving him a chance to really get in the match.
Of course.
And there were times where he like wanted, I saw that he was like trying to get into it. Like I felt like he's coming. Then he played a good point, but in that moment, I somehow figured out a way to play a very good point and still won that point.
Yeah. And
then he got pretty frustrated with that. And then even, I felt like he was not even like next 2 points. He was like, just like, who is this guy? Like, just, I realized that he wasn't really obviously happy to play on that day. Like, and then he maybe pulled himself together again. He plays another good point, which is really a good point. But then I don't know, I play a backhand down the line winner, which I usually do not make, but in that moment I made it. So I really never allowed him to get in the match. Mm-hmm. And then, a bit under an hour, it was then sealed. And at that moment I felt like, it's actually pretty insane. But then again, I mean, it just proves me. I mean, I played against Kashanov before, also in Davis Cup, and there I saw, I mean, I lost in straight sets, like 6-4, 7-5. But there I saw, I mean, there's no reason why I, with my game, should not be able to really hurt these players.
Yeah. Because even with that result, 6-4, 7-5, like that's a good result. Like, you're
at that time for me, that was a great result. It was a tennis match, and it's just really, I mean, people always say like, they're also only people, like they also only are playing tennis, they're not doing anything special. And it's true. I mean, but you still have to like go through that once to see like, actually they really are. Like the things that I do can hurt them as well.
Exactly.
But then again, it also depends on how the conditions are, because I mean, I was feeling very good there about my tennis at the moment. Like I only had confidence, nothing to lose, and and he had a lot to lose. And I mean, that week was basically really also career changing for me.
That's amazing, Mac, and I really appreciate you sharing your thoughts on this, and I really appreciate you coming onto the channel to talk about your career and your struggles. And what's your schedule like coming up, so that way people can follow you or which tournaments you're playing?
Well, I'm playing my match tomorrow. Mm-hmm. I'm playing tomorrow evening, France time. I think tomorrow evening around 6 or 5:30 against the Italian Federico Gaio. It's the second round. Obviously, I'm hoping to do well this week here. Then the next 2 weeks I have planned. I mean, I decided that already. Basically, once I saw the tournaments came out, I'm going to South Africa.
Wow.
To Potchefstroom, also for 280s.
Okay.
I decided that about 3 weeks ago when I signed up for them, basically. And I'm not 100% sure there again if that's the right decision, but I know that the conditions there to play are certainly very good for my game.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure, say those are 2 weeks. If I play well, if I play my tennis and do my things correctly, that actually there are lots of points that I could be picking up there. So it felt like a good decision to go there. And basically I'll know more in 2 weeks. But
that works.
That's just something that's like stuff you just have to deal with. And then afterwards I honestly don't know, because I know the first 250 events are starting again. Not sure if I get into those with my ranking. If I'm 140, I might get into one of them, but then it feels also a bit wrong just to go into, I don't know, to Singapore for 1 week to play quarters of a 250 event.
And then just come back
and then just come back maybe after one match. So
exactly.
like just things that I have to like, and also about traveling, obviously from South Africa. I don't think it's going to be too easy getting back.
Absolutely not.
At the moment, there's lots of things. I'm not even quite sure. I'm 100% sure if it's actually still taking place, because I actually thought I'm not going to be playing this week here.
Yeah.
So I can actually go to South Africa and prepare properly for that event there. But then I felt like, maybe it's going to get cancelled. So it's good to get another week in, just in case.
So we'll see. And I really appreciate you coming on. If you guys want to go check them out on Instagram, on any social media, I'll leave links to those down in the description below. But Mac, thank you so much for joining us today, and good luck tomorrow.
Thanks a lot. Thanks. Yeah.
No worries.
Forward to it.
No worries. Take care, bud.
Thanks a lot.